We are here with a wonderful 11th grade B, and we are introducing the book Frankenstein. Okay, Cristiano Ronaldo. And one of the things I just asked had to do with the name of the writer, and the writer's name is Mary Shelley. Okay, Mary Shelley. Can you guys tell me? You have internet, so you can help me out. When was the book written? When was the book written, people? When was the book written? Help me out. Okay, the chat is open. 1818 or 1866. Oh, right. It's a really old book. If you we can see the movies and stuff, but it's quite old. Okay, tell me now. Another thing. The other question that I had: what kind of genre does this book fit? What kind of genre?
Horror.
Okay, it fits in the horror.
It's a gothic novel.
Oh, beautiful. Well said.
Also it's science fiction.
Yes, and science fiction. It fits in the science fiction genre. Absolutely, science fiction is one of the main things here. And this book is super philosophical. I love this book because when I was a kid, I just thought it was just a monster. That's it. But it's way more about Frankenstein. That it blew my head off. Okay, what else? Another question was that I made today. How did she, the writer, Mary Shelley, come up with the idea of the book? How did she come up with the idea of the book? Like, what was she doing when she said, "Oh, this is a very good idea for a book"? What was she doing? How did she come up with the idea of the book? Help.
I think she was like having a competition with someone called Percy and Lord Byron.
Okay.
The competition was about to see which one could write the best horror history.
Competition of who could write the best horror story. Question for you, Valentina. Did she have the idea immediately? Like, oh, this and that, and I'm gonna write this and that. Okay, I won. Or
no, she didn't.
she didn't. What happened with her idea? What happened with that? Yeah, Mr. Lady Raraswal. It's okay. What happened with the idea? Or what happened with the contest at the beginning? Okay, they say, I don't want to lose more time. They say that Mary Shelley couldn't think of anything. Like the other writers, which were good friends, they had these wonderful ideas about the horror story, but she couldn't. She was like, she was blocked. She was having a mental block. So she said, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. She went to bed, and at night she dreamed the story. I mean, maybe not completely, but she dreamed about this monster or a scientist that created this monster. So it is the result of a dream. Okay, it's the result of a dream. So isn't that amazing? I think it's beautiful. Okay, now there was another question before we continue. That is usually compared that the Prometheus. Okay, who is Prometheus? Who is Prometheus? That's my question. In the mythology, of course. Who is Prometheus?
Era como una persona que le robó el fuego a los dioses del Olimpo.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. That's correct. There are some details that he was not a person. He was like, they say it was a titan. And yeah, and Joaquin complementing Diego's idea is that he gave intelligence to people. Yeah, he gave intelligence to people. So he's the one that gave life somehow to people, because in the past, before this myth, people were just living, existing, doing hunting and things, but they didn't have the ability to think on their own. That's a different thing. People didn't have the ability to think, right, or create things. So the relationship between Prometheus, in the book says, is the modern Prometheus, and Frankenstein, the doctor, not the monster. The doctor is that both could give life, and both could through intelligence, that's the thing, through intelligence, they could do many things. They could do, they could build a civilization, they could do plenty of things. So science was the answer. That is the connection. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the book. I better show you something else. Okay, I better show you how's this done. The book is in Google Classroom. You can find it here. It's in PDF. You can download it to your best device. And this week you need to read chapters from 2 to chapter 6. Okay. Also, you need to read next week from chapter 7 to chapter 9. And the upcoming week from chapters 10 to chapters 14. And then we will gonna be finished this book. So it's gonna take like 3 weeks and something. This class, we're just gonna have the opportunity to read around up until chapter 3. I think that's it, because of the time. So let's do this. I didn't ask you this to the other group, but are you guys excited to read a book in English? I mean, probably it's not like, yay, woo, awesome, but are you, like do something different?
Yes.
Thank you. It's very nice. Okay, so that's goody, nice. So that's my plan, having a book now, and next year having a book again. And the next unit, I want to include another book, but I chose this one on my own because, I try to choose a good one. But the next unit, you're gonna choose one. I'm gonna give you three different options. You're gonna choose one. Now, the story begins like this. I'm gonna try to find that. There are probably more films of this sad and frightening story than any other story in the world. Why do so many people like it? Is it because Frankenstein's monster is something that we all know, or something that something from our worst dreams? It's an old story and it's a new story. It's old because it was written more than 180 years ago. I thought that's quite old. New because Frankenstein's problem is the same problem that scientists have today. Scientists give us many wonderful discoveries, machines and computers and weapons, but how do we use these things? Will they give us a better life, or will they destroy us in the end? That's an absolute current question. So one of the main problems of philosophy now is that how are we going to use science? I mean, and there's been a discussion since the atomic bomb. Victor Frankenstein creates a new man, bigger and stronger than any other man, a huge and frightening monster. But even monsters need love, and when his creator turns away from him, the monster begins to destroy everything that Frankenstein loves. This is just an introduction of the book, and we're going to start off with it. So you need to read this week. This week, chapter 2 to chapter 6. Yes, Joe. Turn away is when you stop caring, right? You leave them alone, like survive by yourself. Okay, 2 to 6. They're very short. It's a short book. It has only 53 pages, so it's a baby book. Now you're gonna discover that the book is written. They start with the end. Okay, they begin with the end, kind of the end, right? And Frankenstein begin telling his story, so it has like a different timeline. All right, so we need now people to read. This is your time where you practice your pronunciation. This is the time that you have free, the free time to read, you know, to enjoy the book. So do we have any interested person in reading? Do we have any volunteers to read? To start reading the chapter 1, which is very short, by the way. Any volunteers? Or any volunteer? Obviously, I'm going to be helping.
Yo podría leer, profe, pero es que estoy barriendo. Igual es muy largo el capítulo 1.
No. No. It's
Ya,
not.
bueno, yo leo.
Okay, dude. Let's do this.
Okay, Captain, something is moving on the ice. Look over there. The sailor stood at the top of the mast, high above the captain. His band pointed away from the ship, across the miles of ice that covered the sea. The captain looked to the north, where the sailor was pointing. He saw something coming fast towards the ship across the ice. He put his telescope to his eye, and through it he could see the shapes of 10 dogs pulling a sledge over the ice. He could also see the driver of the sledge, a huge figure, much bigger than a man. The sledge came nearer and nearer to the sea. Soon it was only a quarter of a mile from the ship. No one...
Wait, is here. No one needed?
No one needed a telescope now to see the huge figure of the driver. Suddenly, the sledge went behind a mountain of ice and disappeared. At that moment, another sledge appeared. It too was moving fast and was clearly chasing the first sledge. This driver was a smaller figure, more like an ordinary man. Faster and faster the dogs ran. Then the second sledge also disappeared behind the mountain of ice. 2 hours passed. The sledge did not appear again. Nothing moved on the ice. Soon night came, and in the night there was a storm. In the morning, the sailors saw that the great pieces of ice were floating around the ship. So suddenly the sailor on the mast shouted again, "Captain, I can see a man on the ice." The sailor was pointing to a piece of ice that was floating near the ship. A man was sitting on the ice, and
Near him?
no veo, profe.
Oh, here. This one. Near him, a broken sledge.
Near him was a broken sledge. The man was nearly dead from cold and could not walk. The sailors carried him and carefully onto the ship and took him to the captain, who said, "Welcome to my ship. I am the captain and my name is Robert Walton." "Thank you, Captain Walton," the man said. "My name is Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein." Then he fainted and said no more. 2 days passed before the man was strong enough to talk, and then the captain asked him to tell his story. "I am trying to catch someone," said Frankenstein. That is why I have come so far north on the ice.
Mhm.
We saw you following someone, the captain said. He was huge, much bigger than a man. We saw his sledge just in front of you on the night before the storm. I am pleased you all saw the huge figure, Frankenstein said. Perhaps that will help you to believe in my story. During the days while the captain worked on the ship, Frankenstein wrote down his story, and each evening he read what he had written to the captain. Here is Victor Frankenstein's story.
Very nice, Red. Excellent, dude. I've got 2 questions for all of you. And Diego, that was kick-ass. We have 2 vocabulary words, sledge and the mast. Let's begin by the sledge. It's a means of transport when you are on the snow. What's a sledge? And also little kids that use it in Christmas, you know, to have fun on the snow. A sledge.
Es como un trineo, profe, creo.
Yes, and it's usually pulled by dogs or reindeers. Now, the other one is the mast in the ship. If you have a big ship, there was always a mast in the middle, and in the past, they have a flag, right, in the mast. What is the mast? I think it's here. El mástil, yes, Joe. Yeah, it says here, the mast. Stop at the top of the mast. This is the mast, like Joe mentioned. Good. Okay. I think we have time just for another chapter, and that's it. Okay, who would like to read chapter number 2? Well read. Very nice. Any volunteer, chapter number 2? Any volunteer, chapter number 2? Any volunteer for chapter number 2? Any volunteer, chapter number 2? Okay. We're going to point at someone out. Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes. Okay. Wait.
Cerrando el LOL.
No, yo no juego LOL.
Yeah, very nice.
¿Cómo se le ocurre que voy a jugar LOL? Ya, ahí está. I was born in Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Switzerland,
Okay.
in the town of Geneva. My parents loved each other very much, and I learned from the example of their love. I learned that love and to be patient are the most important things in the world. My mother hoped to have a daughter after I was born, but for 5 years I was the only child. And then my mother found a sister for me. She was helping a family in which there were 5 children. They were very poor, and the children were thin
Then,
and hungry.
Mhm.
One of the children was a little girl with the golden hair and blue eyes. Her name was Elizabeth. My mother took the little girl into our family, and Elizabeth became the daughter that my mother had always wanted. As I grew older, my love for Elizabeth became stronger all the time. Later, my mother had 2 other sons, Ernest and William. A young woman called Justin. I came to live in the house to help my mother with the children. We loved her as much as she loved us. The years passed happily, and we had everything that we need. At school, I met another very fine person. His name was Henry Cleaver. Oh, Cleaver.
Clever.
Okay. And he was very clever. My family also liked him very much. See, he was a welcome visitor to our house.
Okay.
Frankenstein. I read this?
Wait, okay, you stop here. Okay, and master, you need to check on the verbs. okay, of the past.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah. Where?
Come on, wait. I'll show you here. Loved.
Loved. Yeah.
Loved.
Fallé mucho la de
Hoppet.
Hoppet.
And here the child.
Child. Child.
Child and stronger and stronger. Thin. My brother Justin. Come to live.
Call it.
Come to live. Live.
Live. Okay.
Que life es otra cosa. Children, no children.
Sorry.
Past. Needed. Okay, so we have to double check the ed. Okay, master.
Yeah. Okay.
Be careful. Okay. So in sake of the time, we're gonna stop here. But you guys have homework. You need to write. You need to read, not write. You need to read from chapter number 2. This one, which is the one that Mr. Vega was reading, chapter number 2, until chapter number 6 for the next class. Okay, chapter number 6 here. It's very short. You're gonna find that it's easy to read, and it's a good idea to come with vocabulary. Okay, if you have a vocabulary list, I'm gonna ask you some question about it, and every week I'm gonna ask you about the chapters that we are supposed to read. So I'm gonna make you do a bit of a short quiz about what you've been reading. Okay, my little boys and my little girls, take care, enjoy the rest of the day. We're calling the day now, and tomorrow is Friday, so there you go. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, teacher.
Bye-bye. Remember to read the book. Okie dokie.
Bye, teacher.
See ya. See ya. Get better, Joe. Get better.
Bye.
Bye, master.